Africa, the second largest continent on earth, is considered blessed by the hand of God. The motherland, as it is often called, due to the belief that it was the birthplace of humanity, is teeming with wildlife. A strong life energy exists in its emerald green jungles, which are the sanctuaries of exotic flora and fauna. Its majestic mountains hold Earth's hidden treasures of gold, platinum and diamonds. The Nile winds and twists its way for over 4,000 miles northward from eastern Africa to Egypt, providing life source for countless creatures of God living under the limitless African sky. Many great and gifted beings have emerged from the African ancestry, including Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., actor Bill Cosby, and supermodel Iman, who exemplify the grace and talents of the African people. God continues to bless Africa through a living master, whose mission of sharing the love from the Most High with humankind brought her to this land. In 1995, Supreme Master Ching Hai came to Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast in West Africa. The First Lady of the Ivory Coast, Mrs. Henriette Bedier, invited Supreme Master Ching Hai to the Presidential Palace as an honored guest. Upon learning of the condition of the local hospitals, Supreme Master Ching Hai immediately made a contribution to purchase necessities, equipment and medicine. She then was accompanied by the Prince of the Ivory Coast to the orphanages in the city of Abidjan. Supreme Master Ching Hai then continued on her journey to the Kingdom of Benin, once one of the most advanced of African civilizations. The royal family had arranged for a grand reception at the airport to greet their national guest. King Aguli Agbo and his queen welcomed Supreme Master Ching Hai to their palace and expressed their honor at receiving her in their country. During her stay in Benin, Supreme Master Ching Hai also visited hospitals, poor villages and several orphanages run by convent nuns. Supreme Master Ching Hai showered the children with her love and gifts. She also made a contribution to the orphanage of Saint Enfant Jesus in order for them to add more facilities. Before her departure from this country, the First Lady of Benin, Mrs. Nisafor Soglo, invited Supreme Master Ching Hai to her official residence, where a friendly meeting took place between them. In November and December 1999, Supreme Master Ching Hai traveled to the great continent of Africa again during her Middle East and Africa tour titled Heaven is Only the Beginning. She was invited to lecture in 3 of South Africa's largest cities, Johannesburg, Durban and Cape Town. Truth seekers in these cities yearned for the nectar of God to satisfy their inner longing. As Africa has gained the world's attention as a land of many cultures and beliefs, Cape Town, South Africa, was chosen as the ideal location to host the Parliament of the World's Religions on December the 1st through to the 8th, 1999. Supreme Master Ching Hai was among the world's spiritual and religious leaders who were invited to speak at the Parliament's opening ceremony and made a special prayer as well. Afterwards, a group of Zulu children dancers had the honor of meeting Supreme Master Ching Hai. Touched by their pure hearts and sincerity, Supreme Master Ching Hai made a generous contribution for them. During the course of a visit, Supreme Master Ching Hai not only shared the noble teachings of the truth with the people of South Africa, but also made philanthropic contributions to the poor and less fortunate, amounting to about 100,000 US dollars. Many members of the media also requested to interview Supreme Master Ching Hai. Although her time was limited, she granted several interviews to some of the major newspapers, radio and television stations. Everywhere she went, the African people warmly welcomed Supreme Master Ching Hai as an honored guest in their land, as she brought a message of peace and love to their people. We invite you to listen to Supreme Master Ching Hai's lecture titled The Mercy of God, delivered on November the 27th, 1999 in Cape Town, South Africa.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Like most of us, what was important to me was to earn money, to have the nice things in life, to have an excellent education, status, to be an important man in business, at work, to have a nice house, to have beautiful children, and a nice family. Most of these things were taken away from me 3 years ago. I lost my job. To make matters worse, my son developed a dreadful mental disease called schizophrenia. Schizophrenia. I couldn't pronounce that word before. Any one of you who's got children will understand that when you lose your son, you lose a lot. My daughter left the house to stay with her boyfriend. To me, or to rather to my wife and I, you leave the house to get married or because you were promoted, and it was a non-event. The relationship between my wife and myself changed dramatically. She was now the earner. I was now the housewife. The house husband. And I didn't do a good job at that either, because I was full of hatred for what life had done to me. What had I done to deserve all this? I was fortunate that my wife never let me down. She kept me, she fed me, and she loved me. And for that I say thank you to her in public. I was also fortunate to be able to go to the Cape Mental Health Association, and they kept me going. But still, that hatred and the traumatic stress disorder that I suffered kept me mad. When I say mad, I was sick mentally. And I decided that I wanted to revenge myself. Revenge on those that have hurt me so badly. And that included God. Why did he have to choose my son to become schizophrenic? There's not a single ounce of malice in him. He's got a golden heart, and he's got to suffer that, and he knows it. Most of them don't know it. And I decided that I was going to commit suicide. Because the one person that had no reason to hurt me on this earth was the presiding officer in the court, the judge. And the other one, as far as I'm concerned, was God. I was going to give him his life back. And I decided that I didn't want to hurt people that didn't deserve to be hurt. So I wrote letters on the computer and I prepared. Every single person who could possibly feel hurt or guilty for what I was about to do would receive a letter from me. And a week before I was going to go to the judge's house, where I knew he would stay, and hand him a letter, and then pour petrol over myself and set myself alight in front of everybody in his house, in his street. I went to a shop, and in that shop I bought what I had to, and when I came to pay at the counter, I saw the most loving eyes I've ever come across. The little green booklet that you have in front of you, those eyes looked at me, and I felt a whole hatred that I had built up over 3 years